The GOP is hitting back hard as President Biden tries to blame the ultra-MAGA crowd for his endless economic problems. Scranton Joe rolling up his sleeves to shovel his nonsense talking points on inflation. The president out in farm country today pushing the same tired talking points, blaming Putin and those greedy corporations. Biden refusing to take responsibility as we learn the surge in prices is stuck at a 40-year high. GOP lawmakers calling out the president for his inaction.
Joe Biden will blame anyone but himself for this inflation. I mean, he's blamed chicken farmers and the coronavirus and Vladimir Putin and everything else under the sun.
President Biden is flailing around, swinging blindly, hoping that something will land.
The truth is that the Biden administration just keeps kicking its own ass. After 14 months, nothing is built, nothing is back, and nothing is better.
He was supposed to give his ideas on inflation yesterday. What were his ideas? Oh, it's everybody else's fault but his.
As Biden gets blamed for record inflation, he is finding one group willing to defend his atrocious record on the economy. Guess who?
A Democrat's in office, the deficit goes down, the economy flourishes, and then a Republican comes in and destroys it all. Well, and then the next Democrat has to come in and sweep it up and clean it up.
Don't make me defend the former guy, because I won't, but I will say until the pandemic, the economy was soaring. We had record economic
because we had President Barack Obama.
Biden is the guy who said, listen, we need to give people more money. He's in a room with loose boards. He takes a step over here, he gets hit by the wall.
Yes,
he takes a step over here, he gets hit by gas going up, and it's not on him.
And where's Joe Biden's task force on this? Parents growing increasingly desperate over a national shortage of baby formula. 40% of America's supplies are out of stock. Okay, Jesse, I'll start with you. Do you think that people who are sitting at their kitchen table trying to pay their bills, already paying $5,000 more than they did last year to maintain the same standard of living, give a damn about who's to blame as opposed to what Joe Biden is going to do about it?
I'm just trying to figure out what they said on The View. It was over my head, I think. Really, really enlightening. Apparently, if you listen to The View, if you're sitting around the kitchen table, everything's terrible, but none of it's Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden came in, he was supposed to care more, and he was supposed to be more competent. And it's clear now he's neither. Right now, he went to a farm. And I know he's not running for re-election, because you know where the farm was? The farm was in Illinois. If you're running for re-election, you go to a farm in Iowa. I mean, this guy's done. He's not going anywhere. And he wasn't even in front of, like, some nice corn stalks or anything like that. You got to go out. If you're going to a farm, you got to see a farm. You got to see green. You got to see stalks. I couldn't see any of it. Here's the other thing. He goes out there and he says that the farmers are going to get technical assistance from the government. You think farmers need help from the government? The farmers, they don't need help. They know how to plant crops. What's the government going to tell the farmers to do? And by the way, it's a little too late for that help. They plant crops based on seasons. They have systems. We knew when Ukraine was invaded, what, 2.5 months ago, this was the biggest fertilizer exporter. This is the biggest energy producer, Russia. 2.5 months later, Joe now says, we're going to do something about fertilizer, food, and energy. Where has this guy been? I don't know where he's been. I know this. All of a sudden, he says big business is like getting in the middle and jacking up prices because they're greedy. Well, they could have been doing that the last 40 years. Why, after 40 years, they decide now they're going to get greedy? Doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that Joe Biden thought he was in Iowa when he was in Illinois. But you know what? I'll go to you, Martha, because he did. I mean, Jesse's right. Joe Biden came in as the empathic, sympathetic guy. I mean, that actually got him into office. He cared about COVID. Where is the mercy now that Americans need who can't pay their bills?
So, you know, I go back to The View and trying to break down what they were saying there, and I look at what Alyssa Farah said, and the truth is that the biggest stimulus that we've had to the economy in the last several years was at the beginning of the Trump administration, when you had the cutting of regulations and the cut in the depreciation, all of those taxes that are the biggest part of what businesses pay. As soon as that happened, you saw businesses expanding, buying more companies, employing more people. Cutting through the red tape and regulation was probably the most effective stimulus to the economy that we've seen in a long time. These are not words that you're hearing cross this president's lips. That is the thing that would generate real growth in this country. When you have inflation and everyone's costs are going up and you've got supply chain issues and costs are going up, the best thing that you can do is to cut taxes, give people relief, give them incentives in order to stimulate their businesses. And that is the most direct way to do it. Whoopi Goldberg says, that he's putting money back in people's pockets. Well, we hear these efforts. We're going to lower prescription drug prices. We're going to make childcare cheaper, and that will offset inflation. But that is such a roundabout way to try to get at it. The most immediate thing you can do is to cut taxes, cut regulation, make it easier for people to open their businesses, to make those businesses bigger. We're not hearing any of those really direct things that would actually impact inflation in the economy fairly quickly.
Geraldo, I mean, you've got to have some thoughts on this. I mean, the blame game doesn't work for people who are trying to survive.
Well, I think Rick Scott, calling the president incapacitated and incoherent, is playing the blame game, Judge.
Do you think he's coherent?
I think that he has, in part, been very unlucky. There is no doubt but that the pandemic and the Ukraine war have had an impact. And there's also no doubt that the president himself, with his generosity, pouring billions of dollars into the economy, has helped fuel the inflation rate and helped gum up the supply chain. But now when I hear about him talking about lowering taxes to help people out, that's the last thing I think the economy needs is more money dumped in if inflation is the issue. Now, I support a lot of people. You know, I'm blessed that I can. I've never heard them complain more about being on fixed incomes. And it's very, very distressing. The rent went from, $5,000 to whatever it is. I don't know. But it is very distressing. And I think that the difficulty is being disciplined enough to find the way out. You've got to cut off the beast. You've got to stop shoveling public money into the trough and expecting, that's not going to burn.
Okay, well, Brian, I mean, that is the answer. I mean, even the Wall Street Journal is suggesting that Joe Biden, a.k.a. President Costanza from Seinfeld, do the opposite of what he's done.
Right, and we rolled that clip this morning on Seinfeld. I know you don't put the sound up when Fox and Friends is on.
No, but I saw your tie
but it's okay. And by the way, do you still support Jesse? Is he still? That's so terrible.
But I'm hoping the youngster can really.
Can I just clarify? Everybody has natural. When you take over, you got natural disasters, you have wars, you have challenges. I get it. But when he took over, you can't blame the pandemic. He had a vaccine. He was ready to go. He was going to fix things. Then he had $800 billion from Trump, and then he chose to print $1.9 trillion more. And then the Ukrainian situation, he told us this was going to happen ahead of time. If he got those weapons in quicker, this thing could be over already. So he's made decisions that made everything a lot worse. And I think we've said a lot already, but we didn't bring up ultra MAGA. That to me is the problem. Ultra MAGA. He's going to Madison Avenue trying to get a buzzword to blame somebody. He goes into Rick Scott's 11-point plan and finds one line on number 5 that says, I think everybody, the 50% that don't pay income taxes should pay income taxes. And he wasted all that time labeling the Trump people and then going to Rick Scott's plan from Wisconsin. I was following Rick Scott in Florida. I don't know what I was thinking because he was he said Wisconsin. Wait a second. You're arch enemies in the wrong state.
Yep.
So, by the way, he's not ultra MAGA. Rick Scott's just a typical conservative Republican.
Yep.
He's not Matt Gaetz. So he had everything messed up. And I resent the fact that he wasted so much time and energy with his staff to try to blame people instead of fixing it. You're 79 years old. Stop trying to win the next election. Just do your job.
Yeah, well, apparently he doesn't quite know how to fix it. That could be it. Anyway, coming up, the left is flipping out over Elon Musk's plan to lift the Twitter ban on Trump.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.